So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the fourth part in Lives for Literacy's Education is a Human Rights series, where we are talking about different barriers to education and what impacts education all over the world. This is one of our first series of events here at Lives for Literacy, and we are so excited. Today we are being joined by an amazing guest speaker, and we can't wait for everyone to hear more of their story and hear what we have to say. So really quickly, before we do begin, we have to kind of get some things out of the way. This isn't a recorded event. It is live on Zoom right now. However, you may be watching this back on YouTube or Instagram, wherever you're going to see this clip. And while content moderators try their hardest, sometimes comments slip in. Sometimes things are said that are not directly appropriate or supported by the Lives for Literacy Board of Directors. This is just a quick disclaimer to know that we try our hardest, but sometimes things are said on calls, things cannot be changed, and that's okay. And also, things may talk about COVID-19. We may mention the impact of COVID-19 on our lives at the current moment. However, Lives for Literacy is not your primary resource for educational material, modeling data, or safety guidelines at this time. Your government websites, public health organizations, and trusted health officials are the ones we encourage you to stay in touch with and to listen to. So, yes, we are not your COVID-19 source. And before we begin today's event, because we are based in Canada, we do have a responsibility to acknowledge the land in which we operate. So before we begin today's event, I would just like to acknowledge the land in which Lives for Literacy operates is the traditional lands of the Mohawk, a place that has long served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst nations here in Canada. And because I am coming to you directly from Peel Region in Ontario, Canada, I would like to acknowledge the land in which I specifically operate on is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, specifically the Iroquois, the Ojibwe, Chippewa peoples, and home to the Métis. The territory in which I live is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties. For those of us who are not Canadian, who are joining us on the international stage, if it is that, or maybe you're just unfamiliar of why we do land acknowledgements here in Canada, it's primarily three reasons for us here at Lives for Literacy. One is history and reconciliation. We would like to show respect for the land and be a part of the movement towards reconciliation with the Indigenous peoples in Canada. Two is education. We need to know, we need to learn, and we need to understand the ancient traditional roots. The land in which we operate on is connected to ancient and traditional relationships with nations who have been here for thousands of years. And lastly, this is a form of accountability. It offers us as uninvited settlers and immigrants to reflect on how we got to this land and how we benefit from a settler colonial system that is long-standing and seeks to oppress and continually oppress Indigenous peoples in Canada. So with that, we would like to move forward with our event. Today's table of contents is very simple. We're going to be going through our welcomes and our land acknowledgements. We'll take you through an overview of what is education is a human right, and then we are going to introduce the topic of conflict and conflict in education. And then we were going to throw it over to our wonderful guest speaker this morning, Sharifah, who is going to be leading us in her own discussion and her own story. And then we are going to have time if you have questions for her or you have anything you'd like to say, comments, and then we will close up today's event. So you're hearing a lot from me, you're hearing a lot about Lives for Literacy, but some of you who are here today or maybe joining us on YouTube don't necessarily know who we are. So really quickly, I would just like to introduce us. We are Lives for Literacy. Hi. We are a grassroots movement that is based in Montreal, Canada. And our primary goal is to eradicate illiteracy and raise awareness to the beauty of education. Once, like I said, we are based out of Montreal, Canada, but our team is across Canada and we work with you all worldwide. And we are so excited to see everyone here today. So I'm going to throw it over really quickly to our president and founder, Jasmine, who is just going to say a quick hello.
Thank you, Cyan. Hi, everyone. My name is Jasmine Farapir. I'm the president and founder of Lives for Literacy. A little about me is that I'm a third-year political science and human rights student. And thank you all for being here today. Thank you, Cyan.
And really quickly, hi, I'm Cyan. I'm the one you're going to hear talking a lot today. I'm the Vice President of Events here at Lives for Literacy, and I am in charge of overseeing and understanding all of the events that we have to plan and all of the programming we do here at Lives for Literacy. And it's so much fun, and I'm so glad that we are here with you all today, and we get to reach out to amazing people like Sharifah and hear their stories. So when you see this slide today, you're going to see the slide maybe a couple of times throughout the event. It's just so we get some interaction. If I would like for you all to tell me a bit more about yourselves, or you would like to agree with something, you'll see this slide. It'll either say, tell me more, or quick show of hands or reactions. And that's just how we're going to engage today. And also it makes it better for those of us who would like to remain anonymous. And yeah. So welcome to Education is a Human Right. It is a 12-part series. It is so long. So what are we doing? Well, a part of Lives for Literacy as an event team is we would like to delve deeper into our mission regarding the promotion of the beauty of education. We want to present facts and facilitate discussions on the barriers surrounding access to quality education around the world. And we'd like to hear from very interesting people like yourselves and like Sharifah, who's here today. And we would like to hear about all of the things that you experience and how it impacts your education. Because when we talk about these things, we can learn how to advocate for these things. We know over 200 countries have signed the United Declarations of Human Rights, but how many actually deliver on that promise? And that comes from the experiences that individuals face and the stories that you all share. And we are very excited to hear you all talk and foster this advocacy around the world. So like I said, we're on our fourth part of Education is a Human Right today. We started off in January with the International Day of Education, where we kicked off everything. In February, we talked about anti-Black racism and how race impacts education, very much focusing on the North American context. And in March, we talked about gender discrimination, talking with beautiful people from around the world. And today we're talking about conflict, instability, and insecurity. So yeah, tell me more. I would like you all to introduce yourselves. If you would like to remain anonymous, once again, please direct message me and just introduce yourself to me if you'd like, or feel free to use the chat right now and just tell me, hi, where are you joining us from? What's your name? I'm Cyan, and I'm joining you from Brampton, Ontario, Canada. Using the chat is always funny. I don't know if people are typing.
Go ahead, Arman.
Hi guys, my name is Arman. I'm joining you from Ottawa. I am the Vice President here at Lives for Literacy, and I'm a first-year student in Conflict Studies and Human Rights.
And Liliana's here. Hey Arman, how's it going? And then there's
doing well, Cyan.
So I'm gonna let everyone keep introducing themselves, talking however you'd like to participate today, and we're going to keep going. So the premise of today's event is to talk about conflict and the experiences of those who have faced conflict. And we're gonna be talking about conflict in more of a global perspective. So when we talk about, a fragile and conflict affected state, the terminology is very important because I find that it's very different, and the way it's defined is very different across the various fields that are studied in terms of international relations, because a lot of us in North America here who were born in North America or from different countries in the world, they don't actually know what it is like to experience conflict in this kind of manner. So according to the World Bank, fragile and conflict affected states are a group of countries or territories that are fragile in terms of their financial and security status. Politics defines conflict differently, economics defines conflict differently. But for the purpose today, we are explicitly looking at examples of internal conflict, speaking about genocide, civil wars, revolutions, and coups. So I know some of us here may be from places in the world who are experiencing conflict, or you all definitely have more lived experience regarding the situation. It is a very sensitive situation for some of us here. So if you all are comfortable, please feel free to talk amongst yourselves or to put into the live chat, do you know of any places in the world that are currently conflict-affected countries. It's okay if you don't. Well, according to the World Bank, there are currently 38 countries in the world that are dubbed as fragile or conflict-affected situations. And the World Bank describes them very differently. There's various different sectors. If you would like to see the actual publication document, I do have it here for you. And yes, Liliana, you're right. One of them is Afghanistan. So Afghanistan, Libya, Somalia, Eritrea, Iraq, Mali, Lebanon, Myanmar, these are all examples of conflict that are talked about by the World Bank. Yes, Syria, Yemen, and they're all distinguished differently depending on the level of insecurity that the countries are facing and the hardships that the people are feeling. Now, while none of I specifically can't talk on experience because I've never had to deal with that kind of conflict in my life, but we're really here to talk about, how does this conflict affect education? If it is armed conflict, if it is financial instability within a country, how does it affect people's education? So according to a study by UNESCO, what we found in our research is that education is affected in various different manners. So a lot of it comes from the displacement and death of primary and secondary school teachers and students. This is taken from an example of Rwanda during the Rwanda genocide, when when they did a census after the genocide, 2/3 of primary and secondary school teachers were actually killed during the Rwanda genocide. So you have a displacement of people who can be educated and to educate, the destruction of infrastructure and resources. Schools are often found as the explicit targets during these armed conflicts, and it also increases the risk of children not being sent to school, and also the likelihood of children becoming child soldiers, being thrown into child marriage, and also being sold to slavery. Conflict also increases the gaps in society, specifically talking about socioeconomic status. In 2008, it was found in Afghanistan that over 600 deliberate attacks were against schools, specifically schools with young children and girls. And during the Mozambique Civil War, it was found that educational institutions were actually the target of over 30% of their airstrikes. If you would like to read this study from 2010, that will also be put into the chat right now. And it will also be sent to you in our post-event email. When we look at children, especially, the primary concerns lie with primary school age children, because this includes over 20% of the children in conflict-affected countries. And from the data in their studies, this is from a 2014 study, only 65% of these children attend the primary school age, past this primary school age, and they continue with their education. And research shows there is a definitive adverse trend for students who grow up in these environments. It's like there's persistent insecurity, psychological after effects, and negative trend in returning to education. So people who witness conflict or are part of conflict at a young age, it's very likely that they will not return to school, they will not be educated. So the question is, how do we advocate against it? How do we advocate for this certain thing? Or do we focus on the actual conflict itself? Are we focusing on the education of children in camps? Are we focusing on the education of children as refugees? How can we do this? And frankly, we at Lives for Literacy can honestly say, we can't tell you that. That is why we have brought in somebody who is exceptional and who definitely knows and has the experience behind them to share with you their story and help us learn how do we advocate for these specific issues. I'm gonna throw it over to Jasmine to introduce today's speaker.
It'll be a pleasure to introduce today's speaker. So, Ms. Sharifah Shakirah is the founder and director of Rohingya Women Development Network. RWDN, the first Rohingya women's group in Malaysia, was founded in December 2016. It is self-funded and aims to empower women by harnessing their abilities and providing them with opportunities to be leaders. This is done by organizing classes for women consisting of general education of sexual production, reproduction, health, as well as Quran reading, amongst others. In 2019, she was nominated as Malaysia's candidate for the US Department of State's International Women of Courage Award. This award is presented by the US Department of State to acknowledge women around the world who have shown courage and leadership in advocating for peace, justice, human rights, gender equality, and women empowerment. Thank you.
It's my turn to speak.
Yes.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum and good morning from here. Thank you so much for having me here. It's very interesting for me to come today and join the group, the live literacy, especially is because I see, the youth are leading this, and then it is so important that the youth leaders today for the future at the same time. So I am Sharifah. I was born in Butidong in Arakan State, Burma, and I have to flee from my country when I'm about 5 years old, and I flee to Burma. I flee to Malaysia. I mean, you all know that, and many people might not know that Rohingya have been facing genocide, persecutions for many, many, many decades. We were literally, our citizenship was snatched by the government. We were made stateless within our country. Our rights as human had been, snatched by them. We couldn't do anything in the country. We couldn't work. We couldn't study. We couldn't travel one village to another. And on top of that, our men, especially young boys, were made to do forced labor, posting, like they were made to go with the military and give their services, work for them in the camp, or go to their jungles, carry their stuff. And women, young girls, been raped, killed, murdered. um, People were arrested for no reason, detained for no reason, in jail for no reason. And for all these persecutions, okay, I'm not sure if I was disturbed. So Rohingya people in the country can't see, anything in the country, any hope, any future for themselves, for their children, for their family. And some people decided to flee their country. So when I was very young, I remember very, very little, like, like some flashes of the events, like there was, like I say, I don't remember everything, but some flashes of the memory where people were running, houses was burning, and then my mom with me, my sister, and she was my younger brother. So three of us and her was going another village and was hiding because they was burning, they was killing people. And the few days later, she decided that, it's no more safe for her and for her family, and she has to flee. So like I said, I have mentioned earlier that our citizenship been taken away. So my great parents' citizenship in Burma was taken away, and from them until today, and maybe if I was there, my children are made stateless. So we have no documentations from the country to use as travel document or passport or things like that to leave the country. So there is the only one way to escape the persecution is by hiring smugglers or being trafficked to another country. So that was the same option that me and my family had. and we flee from the country, from Burma, from Arakan, which is I am originally from, and I was supposed to go with my mother and my two siblings to Rangoon, and from Rangoon I supposed to go to Malaysia, where my father already escaped from the Burma many years ago. So when we arrived in Rangoon, my mom was arrested and detained. Her fault, her crime was traveling within the country without the documents, or without the travel documents from the government, which is a big crime in the country. And she was detained for 2.5 years. And my sister, me and my brother have to continue the journey after waiting for her to get released. And unfortunately, she was sent back to the village, and we have no hope than continue our journey. So we came to Malaysia by being smuggled or trafficked. So my sister came, my younger brother came first, after my sister, and then I was trafficked into, I was just smuggled into Malaysia. I mean, like through the sea, through the jungles, and spending my days and nights in the borders. So I was very young, not accompanied by anybody. The journey is very, 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 very dangerous. And then I arrived in Malaysia. After arriving in Malaysia, with a big hope that I will be able to study, build a better life for me, for my family, have a brighter future, have a human rights where people will be, recognizing me as human and give me the dignity, the respect that I deserve. But again, in Malaysia, all those hope was not real. It's not possible, because refugees are not recognized in the country, and people in around the world before this, they don't know who is Rohingya as well. So there is a lot of misunderstandings about Rohingya, about refugee, about migrants, and all those things. And there is not good opinions about them. So again, I spent my life, half of my life or more, I'm not sure. I spent 21 years in Malaysia before I came to United States. And I stay there, I study there, study as refugee kids in refugee built schools. I never had formal education in Malaysia. Of course, I was not equally treated like others. So as a child, seeing other people who are having equal, having, all those rights to wear school uniform, to ride school bus, to study in a, big schools, formal schools, it was always made me ask why I am not like them. And it's always make me miss my country. It always make me want to be recognized, want to be respected, want to be called with my own name. It was painful, obviously. It's but I have grown up. I I live with my experience, and my experience are everything for me. I think in a way, people like me, and to move on, to go forward, we always say that it is a blessing, and it's okay. The reason it is a blessing is because to become tough, to become brave, to become resilient, to become strong, we felt that you need to go through this pain, you need to go through the struggles. And today I am who I am because of my experience, and today because of my all those struggles. So how Rohingya Women Development Network, which is an organization, a women-led organization that we found in 2016 was founded, is because, again, because of all those struggles and then pains, and seeing that our young girls, women, men, boys are fleeing from the country to the neighbors country like Malaysia. I mean, of course, in India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, many more, Thailand. So I living in Malaysia, I felt that, we don't have women organization, which is raising awareness, advocating for our women struggles, at the same time, empowering our women, so that we have our voice being represented equally, our voice being recognized. At the same time, we build ourselves. We don't want to be the victim of genocide. We just don't want to be the victim of survivors, like smuggling, trafficking, or a refugee, or all those terms, all those words. It does not stop us to be who we are, to just keep building ourselves so that people notice us. So me and a few other friends at that time started that organization. And obviously in my country, women are not very involved in our community. So due to that, people don't see what I was trying to say. They don't see the goal of the organization. They don't see the goal of the mission, like why it is important and how can it be successful. So I was left behind. Again, I struggled and I didn't give up. It just made me giving up all the time. But you need people to support you and say that, hey, go forward. I think you can do it. So today, Rohingya Women Development Network is one of the organizations that been recognized and known by many inside Burma, inside and outside of refugee community. And we are working very closely with, especially with the women, and empowering our women, giving opportunity to other member of the community to learn, to get empowered, and to be the leader of our community, to be the voices of our community. So if you ask me about education, how's Rohingya are getting education, Rohingya are not getting education in Myanmar. Rohingya are not getting education in Bangladesh camp. Rohingya are not getting education in Malaysia. Rohingya are not getting education anywhere else, where they are taking refuge or where they are inside the country, Burma. Why? Because of the root cause again. We are made sailors, our rights been snatched. We are living in open prison. I think life of prison in like country like USA is much more better compared to our lives in Myanmar and in Bangladesh camps. Literally, children, especially inside the Bangladesh camps, this situation, it is the world largest refugee camp in the world, and the children, the women are the one who get affected the most. For the children's education is like nothing. Every time we have discussion or talk or a message from them, they always talk about education, always talk about how can I get educations. And it is just heartbreaking to see that these people, these young people, so eager, so hungry for educations, and but it's just so difficult for them. And the persecution that we are facing today, the genocide that we are facing today, all the problems being refugee, this and that, the trafficking, the child marriage, the domestic violence, this and that, all these problems will never end if we don't give education, equal education, or education, or education to build these people's life, that's the only solutions. If we don't give that, it's not going to end the problem, and it's going to be more serious because every day we are giving birth, right? We are human, and new generation being born every day, and being born as refugee, being born in Bangladesh camps, being born in Burma without any rights. It is not helping anybody, you, me, or anyone else. Like example, my own personal story, when I was in Malaysia, I got married. I married for 4 years, and people always ask me why you are not getting pregnant. In my country, as soon as you get married, you should have a baby. But I decided, when my husband decided that no, we don't want to have children in a country where the same child will go through the same problem, same process as we go, because we are refugee. We don't have that document saying that we, you know, citizen or some things, in that paper, permanent resident, this and that. Basically, just trying to say that it's just a human. These people are human, same space. I mean, same kind of human. For me, that document mean that all those citizenship or ID and the documents is just present saying that forget about all the title, it just mean human. So we don't have that letter, that paper. So I said, no, I'm not going to give birth here. And in country like USA, the child is born here, is become citizen or have all the rights and stuff. So Alhamdulillah, she is born here. But again, I telling you these stories because I want you to know the pain of a refugee is not getting education and how important it is for them. And like I said, at the same time, I also recognize that refugee like me who always find ways to move on, like I said. And even though we don't have educations, we build ourselves in a way education just can't define who we are. I don't have a degree, I don't have diploma, I don't have any higher educations. I never been to public school, never stopped there. But my experience is the most valuable things for me. And the reason I'm saying this is because while we are waiting for the solutions, while we are waiting for these kids, these people to get equal access to education, we should, from the people from the ground, from the NGO, from the international community, however it is, from the students, from the youth, that we should build programs where the people like refugee kids, women, men get access to educations like skill building classes and stuff like that, communication skills and all those other education tools should be given and should be created for these people so that they can live in a society, at least in where they can support themselves and their family. So that's all I think about me. Lastly, I just want to say that I am representing my community today, and I'm sure my people and I will never give up on searching for freedom, searching for justice, and searching for hope in life, and obviously education at the same time. And we will create whatever we can for us, for our people, and at the same time fight for justice. So I want, wherever you are, whoever you are, no matter how big, how small you are, we need you, we need your support to stand in solidarity with us, to be our voices where we can't be our voices at sometimes at certain places, and work with us. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That was amazing getting to hear your story. You are, there's only so much you get over emailing somebody over the course of a few months, but you are such an exceptional human being. The experiences that you've had are more than what most people would ever be able to take in a lifetime. And thank you for being so willing to share with us all of the hardships that you've gone through. I know that some of us here might have a few questions, if you're okay with that, a few follow-up questions. That's all right.
Of course.
But like one thing, like I just want to say, so like education kind of becomes what levels the playing field in a sense. It's a very dehumanizing experience when you are stripped away from what you see other children being able to have, and it couldn't have been like anything so when it comes down to education, we kind of advocate, and if we are going to advocate, it's to get them not even like higher education, it's basic skills, it's literacy skills, being able to read, write, because eventually if they do leave certain situations, they need to be like, refugees need to be able to have the skills to actually make a life for themselves.
Yeah.
And in the situations that a lot of them are in right now, we can't. So I think that's very helpful to what we wanted to accomplish today, learning how to advocate for the cause. And I'm very glad that you were here. I'm just going to throw it over to anyone else who has any questions or comments, or to say thank you to Sharifah, who is here with us today. Anyone would like to say something really quickly?
I mean, maybe I can just say something. In nowadays world, when people meet you, they ask you, what you studied, what's your background, and it just become sometimes so difficult to explain to them that our situation actually, and it's just hard, as human, for you to tell them. I mean, I'm not ashamed of myself, and I'm sure there are many other people like me, almost everyone, I would say, that we are not ashamed to be called refugee or Rohingya or people who have no educations. We are made like that, and we don't have opportunity, but we have built so much, without that background. And it is important for the world, for the people to hear a story like this, to understand the other person's struggles, and at the same time, find solution. Like you said, illiteracy can be created within ourselves. Like there is plenty of solutions out there. It's just that we wait for the political leaders, we wait for the government to sign papers, say that, okay, we give that education to the community. But while waiting for that, which is very important, while waiting for that, you and me, can work for the community. You and me can build those programs. You and me can work with the community and give them that golden opportunity where they will be able to build themselves and, use that knowledge from us, from you, and survive and, go forward and pass to another person, pass to another person of their community, pass to another person of maybe outside of the community. So I just want to really emphasize that you and me can do a lot for these people. And we should think about how we can do that, So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being here and talking with us and sharing with us. I know everyone here has definitely learned something, and everybody who watches this event back is definitely going to be changed. Their lives are going to change from hearing your story, and definitely coming from a grassroots perspective. We hope definitely in the future we can keep working together and keep advocating together, because this has been an amazing experience. And we would just like to thank you. So on behalf of Lives for Literacy as a whole, I would just like to take a moment to officially thank you and welcome you to our community here at L4L. And we are so excited to keep working with you and to keep learning from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here, and Ramadan Kareem to whoever practicing Ramadan and this month.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sharifah.
So with that, we are coming to a close on today's event. So to everyone here who has been here and has enjoyed today's event, just know this isn't the end. We are constantly doing stuff at Lives for Literacy. Right now, our awesome director of research, Sophia, who is here, I think, she has designed a whole bunch of research training sessions that she's doing within the organization, and it is open to registration. I do have the registration form with me today. If you would like to join them in a couple of hours, please feel free. We would love to have everyone to continue growing our networks. Please feel free to join Sophia and her amazing team. You can get certified. I think today is statistics. Correct me if I'm wrong, if it's not statistics. If it isn't statistics, it's something else. It's statistics. Okay, great. So it's statistics. So in case that you're wondering, and upcoming, we are going to be having another mental health series at Lives for Literacy. One thing that we do talk about a lot, especially in our first few months, we were talking a lot about student empowerment and empowering the mental health of students, especially in the light of the COVID-19 pandemic. COVID has affected us all very differently, and a lot of our mental health has suffered. I know if some of us are in Canada today, we've been back and forth between lockdown and not lockdown, outside and inside. It's been hard, but we are moving forward, and a part of that is having a mental health series with professionals who can sit with us, talk through us, and help us really get through these emotions that we are constantly going through. And lastly, in May, it's Education is a Human Right, Part 5. In May, we are focusing on poverty, infrastructure, and resources and its impact on education. That's going to be another really cool event, and we hope to see everyone here today. I hope, Sharifah, you can join us for that event too. And maybe you can join as an attendee for that one. And lastly, we are recruiting. We are recruiting our next term's executive team. We are constantly recruiting, and in our post-event email. And if anyone's here who's interested in joining the Lives for Literacy executive team, we'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. So please feel free to keep your eye open. And yeah. And if you enjoyed today's event, please fill out our post-event survey. It's really just a quick way for us to keep records. It takes less than 5 minutes, less than a minute really. And just give us a quick shout. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like. If you would like for us to host more events like this, let me know. It's my job to make sure that everyone's getting what they want out of these things. And I really hope that I'm doing my job. And this just really helps me do my job. How to register for executive positions. So that's a really good question. You're gonna get an email from me today, probably. If you did not register for the event directly from the registration form, please just drop your email into the chat right now or private message me your email, and you are going to be able to receive the application form or a invitation to apply. And yeah, we are constantly recruiting. So that's how you're going to be able to apply for the executive positions. Thank you, Gusta. But yeah, please fulfill the post-event survey. That would be a great help. And feel free to keep in contact with all of us. We are great. Sharifah, if you would like to put any of your social media or your handles or contact information into the chat right now, or send it to me, and I'll also include that in the post-event stuff. And you could find out more about Sharifah's work, her organization, how to get involved. All right, thank you for sending me your email. Perfect. But yeah, and also keep in contact with Life's Literacy. We got lots of stuff going on. We got Instagram. Instagram's great. You're going to see so much things on Instagram. We got Facebook. That's probably where you're going to see our events first and foremost. So if you're watching this back on YouTube, like us on Facebook. Visit our website, lifesforliteracy.org. We got a new website recently, and it's amazing. It's awesome. And we have so much more. So if you're on YouTube, check out our YouTube, like and subscribe to our YouTube, because that's where all of our events get posted. You're going to see this event there very soon. You're also going to see so much more. Also, we're on TikTok. We made a TikTok account. It's fun. It's fun and fresh. It's new. You're going to see a whole bunch of stuff. You're probably going to see me embarrass myself, which is fine. And we got so much more coming. So please stay in contact with us. Keep us near, dear in your hearts. And last but not least, thank you. Just thank you for coming. Thank you for watching this back. Thank you for being a part of the movement. And of course, last but not least, thank you to Sharifah again for being here, for sharing your story and letting us and teaching us more about your life and how we can help advocate for quality and equal education for everybody around the world. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.